Hey everyone, it's Marina from the Jungle, and welcome today. I am lucky enough to be joined by Mike Schwarzer, who is one of our gigsters from the Jungle community. And welcome, Mike. Welcome to the Little Jungle podcast.
Thank you, Marina, for the opportunity and for having me.
Oh, no, it's great. It's great to have you here. I know what you're going to be sharing with the broader community, both for our B2B clients and also our gigster community. It's going to be really interesting because you have such fresh and unique ideas around what change and transformation means to individuals and larger organizations. So let's start with some of the basics. Who are you and what do you do?
Well, first and foremost, I'm a fellow human traveller, and in
Good
a
to know.
professional sense, I like to describe myself as a transformation facilitator, an awakener, a space holder for people who work in the leadership space. And what that really means is that I work with leaders and change makers, and across every level. If they emerging and frontline leaders, the ones in the middle managers, or all the way up to more senior strategic leaders. But more specifically, I love to partner with the wise rebels, the conscious leaders, the stewards, not just strategists, but people who sense that the old way of leading, pushing, proving, performing, it just isn't cutting it anymore. So in my role as a transformation facilitator is to guide them, guide you towards a fresh way of seeing, not just learning the tools, but having that moment of insight where you realize the old way just doesn't make sense anymore.
Mm.
And so a little story comes to mind, a memory from my younger years in high school back in Germany where I was born. We went on a school excursion to a very hilly area, and we stayed in a little valley. And in being in the valley, you couldn't really see very far, so and very unfamiliar territory. But one day we went on a little hiking tour, and we climbed to the highest hill. And as we arrived on top there, you could see all the whole terrain, all the other hills and the little towns, and you could connect the dot. And so my experience is that, especially in today's times with AI complexity, that it's easy for anyone really to lose the sight of all the dots, because we can get stuck in the valley and we can't see beyond it. So my job really is sort of guiding and walking side by side with the people I'm working, and as we climb up on top of the highest hill and to get a higher vantage point, and we can see the terrain and connect the dots. And funny enough, I've written a book about that, vantage points, cutting to the bullshit of a complex world.
I love that. I love that. I like the imagery. I've got your book. I think it's great. Yeah, that's really great. So when we look at the services that you offer, apart from the fact they're really unique, and I love this phrase of the wise rebel and the awakening. I think they are very brave terms to be used in the current corporate world, and I think they are much needed. I think it's really, really cool. So when we're looking at your services, what problem, if I could call it that, or opportunity, do you see your services addressing businesses or for individuals?
Well, one word I've been thinking about is about disconnection. And the workplaces I go into is, at the surface level, everything seems to be okay, but then you start talking to people, and people feel really disconnected. And and because we're so in such a everything's about technology, and I feel that probably that applies to leaders just as much. They get disconnected from the human aspect. And then the way they connect with people, and the way they're providing environments where people can grow, and tapping into their to me, every human being has genius inside of them, but it's often not. It's ignored through disconnection and the way we treat them. So there's a real opportunity and it's about grounding. So, if you think about, there's three levels of transformation that I'm working with, and the first one is about grounding. That's just self-leadership, how you show up in the world. The second is about impact. That's how you connect with other people and how you guide them and how you lift them up. And then the third one is leverage, and that's how that then translates into into the
Mm.
business sense, and running effective, efficient organisations, and providing service to our clients. So so and again, by providing space for clients and the people I like to work with, the fellow humans, to have a quiet moment, quiet space, to come back to their senses, come back to their humanity, and see with fresh eyes. Because everything to me comes from the grounding. If the business results are not delivering, if the people are not, if I don't have an impact on the influence on the people that I guide and work with and collaborate with, is not there, it pretty much always comes back to grounding, and that's
Mm.
where I help. Where
Yeah.
help organize everything, and flows from there.
I love that. I love these 3 layers. I mean, I'm quite linear, so for me, I can actually
Yeah,
visually see that
yeah,
grounding and then
yeah,
impact and
yeah,
leverage. I think we hear so many buzzwords in corporate now, and quite frankly, those 3 could
yeah,
be easily dismissed as buzzwords. But when you add to it this idea of awakening and rebellion and turning up and
yeah.
being connected, it sort of changes it a bit, which is pretty cool. Which I think that's why what you do is it actually is so different, and it's a really nice part of professional services because it's different.
Well, it comes back down to energy. I think I heard an interview with the CEO of Microsoft. You can see his name. I can't pronounce it,
Yeah,
but he was all about energy. It's about um, clearing the path for people, and so they can generate energy. It's by bringing energy. So it's our own projection. If we come from bad energy, well, then we're projecting other people. It's like we're sucking the energy out of people rather than bringing energy to them. So it's always a question of how am I going to, what's my intention for today? What do I want to try to create for myself, for others, and the world around me? And then the next question is, okay, how do I have to show up to make that
yeah.
happen?
I've heard this described as harmonization around leadership. Being in charge of your own energy and your own base, and then people will harmonize to you for good and the bad.
Yeah.
So I think
And it
what you
comes
do.
back to
So,
grounding,
yeah,
the
yeah,
grounding, leading
yeah,
self. So that's the core, really, what I do. It's about leadership. To me, starts with self leadership.
yeah. I love this. I love this stuff, and I think we're just on the cusp of a whole lot of people suddenly, as you describe it, as awakening and going. There's more to leadership than just books you can buy from the airport. There is a lot different
Yeah.
approach to it, which is really cool. So you on our gig pack panel on the commercial front, because we're here to also let our clients know that they can engage with you. So you offer some one-on-one mentoring, and you also do some really cool workshops with groups as well. Can you tell us just a little bit about that?
Well, essentially, the way I work is either through one-on-one coaching, a group coaching, that creates a nice dynamic when people work together, and also immersive workshops. And ideally, it's a combination of that rather than just even though they're available individually, but to create long-lasting change, it's really it's a combination and over a longer period of time. But you can try before you buy, so to speak,
So,
or the gig
you know,
packs.
I think it's actually really important in this day and age because people don't want to take a big investment or a big risk and things that
Mm,
they don't know. And I love
absolutely,
the you've got one of
absolutely.
those small
Yeah,
little bite-sized gig
yeah,
packs. It's
yeah.
great. Yeah.
Well, but these are really just delivery modes. They're vehicles of experience, but they're
Yeah.
not the experience itself. I want to make that clear. Sometimes people can get hung up on that, but it's about the engagement, how we engage, and the space we create.
Nice.
But it applies, as I said early on, it applies to frontline emerging leaders, and it's a good when they start out to build a foundation of self-awareness and presence early. The middle managers often sit, they sort of the meat in the sandwich because they have to sort of, um, you know, you know, make what happen the orders that come from
Mm.
top. Then they
Yeah.
have to make that reality. So to help them along on the journey, if it's just for their own sanity,
I think
so
so.
to
It's so
maintain the
stressful.
sanity.
Yeah.
Um, and then of course you have the more senior leaders, the strategic ones, and it's often but reconnecting to purpose, to wisdom and coherence. especially if they lost themselves in the grind in the game. So, someone people can, I don't know if I like the term look up to necessarily, but someone they feel inspired by. They want to walk the path, walk together. They want to follow along on top of that hill. So there's a big responsibility, in ethical responsibility, and when I can bring people to that space, connect to what truly matters and who they truly are, then it's very difficult once they've seen that not to be a person of integrity.
Yeah, I love that. Well, if people are interested in learning more about Mike, and if you're lucky enough to get a coffee with him and hear and listen to these really
Coffee's
cool
always good.
coffees are always good. I always make space for it in my calendar. You can find Mike on the talent board at the Jungle. We'll put his details below as well, so you can actually reach out to Mike. And I just want to say thank you so much for being a part of this. It's always a real luxury to connect with everyone in the community and just to spend some time to learn about all the different things that we do out there in our professional services. So just before you go, Mike, I have 3 super quick questions so everyone out there can better understand who you are. You just have to answer which one suits you. Super simple, like really, really simple questions, okay? Are you a cat or a dog person?
Dog.
Dog, yes.
Dog. Yeah.
All right, favorite color. What favorite flavored ice cream?
Vanilla bean.
Oh, vanilla bean. Yeah.
Vanilla bean.
And
Yeah.
how do you have your coffee?
Just white.
Just white. Just
white. Yeah,
I've
no
got
sugar.
this theory. All right, that wraps us up today. Thank you so much for your time. It has been
Thank
absolutely.
you. Yeah.
And I will see you soon in the jungle.
Fantastic.